do with your pressure and what you do with the pressure of your tires, basically it comes down to you and your style of driving, your vehicle, your tires, your rims. There's many factors. If it's summer, if it's winter, what kind of sand, what kind of terrain. So you've really got to understand your tires. You've got to understand how you're gliding on the sand, and you need to understand yourself how much you're digging in. If you feel that you're not getting much traction, then halfway through the drive, you can then put it down. Try and play around with your PSI of your tires. Get to understand the weight of your vehicle. My car is quite heavy because I've got it set up as an overland. So if you've got kind of like a more of a basic one, which you don't have many mods or anything like that, etc., normally you can go a little bit less in float. Do you understand? It just kind of depends on your vehicle, the weight of your vehicle, the size of your vehicle. There's quite a lot of factors. So it's basically playing around and finding your sweet spot. Recovery gears. In the olden days, the JKs were very, they didn't really have any kind of hooking points. Hopefully, thankfully, all these JLs, they all have one hooking points from factory. You can use them, but there's no problem. If you do get aftermarket bumpers, especially the Rubicon style aftermarket bumpers, just be very wary of the hooking points that you use. Because they are aftermarket, they're not as strong as the original mobile. So the actual steel is not as strong. So what I would recommend is that you can buy the aftermarket bumper. They know the Rubicon one. Yeah, it's up to you. It's up to the budget. But try and change the hooking points to original mobile ones. You know these little red hooks or the black hooks that you have in front? Try and change them to original mobiles, and then at least you have that strength from the recovery. For recovery kits, in the beginning you might use it, but this is mostly just if you're solo. There is many ways of recovery, but it's always good to have a shovel. This one is very tried and tested. It's called the Fixers. You can get it for about 130 dips in Ace. You can get it from Back on Motors as well, etc. You want something light, you want something strong, and you want something that can shovel sand. You get all these little crappy foldable ones, which are really not that good. The whole point of doing sand is you go in and you have to pull the sand out. Not this, because you're going to be there for half a day trying to pull it out. So basically the whole purpose is trying to get as much sand and then pull it out. So this one is tried, tested, very easy, very good, very light, very strong. Gloves. In summer, it gets hot. If you get a pop out, which hopefully you don't, but if you do get a pop out is when the tire comes off the rim. It does happen. Again, that's basically due to driving style or your tire, how much it's deflated, etc. That is basically how, but it will happen. And if it does happen to you, good. Because I want it to happen to you because you need to learn how to put the tire back on. The tire, the rim, etc. gets really hot. These are the AOR ones, tried and tested. They are good, but as you can see, after a while, they do start to fade, and the fabric, as I said, it just dies a little bit. They are cheap, they are good, they work. These are the ARB ones. These are a little bit stronger, a little bit bigger. Again, doesn't matter. Just make sure you have 2 soft shackles, okay? We do not use steel shackles here, even though they're rated, even though they have a certificate on them. Even though I don't care. We do not use steel shackles on any of Jeep Nation drives. The main reason for this is that basically they become bullets. You will find some videos online where these things happen, where you do have a recovery rope. Again, there's a simple AOR one. These are kinetic ropes. The reason why we use kinetic ropes is that so it doesn't hurt your vehicle, and so it doesn't hurt when you're basically pulling out. The main reason for a kinetic is that it's stretched. So what you do is when you pull somebody out, you kind of stretch and you go whink, like an elastic band. And that's what you need. If you have any white ones that you buy, like kind of Ace or something, they're not recovery ropes, they're actually towing ropes. Towing ropes are meant to be strong and they're meant to be sturdy, etc. And that's for towing when you're in a vehicle. But these is what you need. You need a kinetic rope for recovery for this one. We have a basic rule. It's not really written on the handbooks. You get stuck, you use your stuff. Don't use anyone else's stuff. Okay? So it's not fair. So when you get stuck, you go there, you get your recovery gear and you put it there, and then you get this, and then the other person will pull it out. It's fair. The other guy's going to help you out. You use your stuff to get yourself out. They're basically on each hooking point from end to end. If by any weird and wonderful reason that kinetic rope gets broken or does snap, or if you're really in a very bad situation where you're extremely stuck and it breaks, if this breaks, it will just break. And if it does hit something, it's not going to hurt anyway. The steel shackle, if it breaks, because of the weight and because of the actual then force of it, it will become a bullet. And it will go through your windscreen, through your seats, and go straight out the other side. If your head is in the way, it will go through you as well. Very clear. Soft shackles all the time. Okay? Basic toolkit, you can't go wrong with something like this. Like 200 tools. One, you're going to need it sometimes, hopefully never, but you will need it sometimes. As I said, if you're in the kind of in a very stuck position, etc., something like this will get you out of a lot of problems. Drives, which we don't also recommend, but if you do get to a certain level, sometimes you will. I did many solo drives and I learned a lot, but of course, I made sure that I was prepared with solo drives, okay? Make sure you have fuse boxes, make sure you have, basic cable tie. Cable ties is one of the main things you should always have, cable tie. It's such a simple kind of thing. Just have the strong ones, big ones. Just have cable ties back of, they will get you out of many, many things. You can get duct tape or gaff tape, but the problem with gaff tape or duct tape is that you leave it in the car and it just becomes like a gooey mess. I don't know if you've ever left like it's a lollipop in your car, like it just, So just try not to take gaffer tape. You can take it with you. It does get you out of things, but it just becomes a gooey mess after a while. Zip drive. Whenever you go to that petrol station, just before you go on the drive, buy a pack of this. It doesn't cost you anything. It costs you a few little dirhams. Just have the water there. If you don't use it after the drive, take it home. Then you can use it, take it to work, take it to whatever. And then just buy a new one. But you always need water. If you're stuck in the middle of the desert, if you're stuck there and you're really in a bad situation and you're really bad in a bad bowl that you can't, you can't get out, etc., you need to hydrate yourself. If you don't, we all know what happens. So again, just take water with you. Again, radiators might burst or whatever you need water. You might need fire. You might need to water it down. You never know. There's so many uses for these things. It's just pop outs as well. Exactly. It's just to clean up the tire for the sand. You need water. Take it with you. Have it. With the first aid kit, just make sure that you renew your first aid kit. Don't have a first aid kit that's been sitting in your car for the last 6 years. There's stuff in there that actually goes off, and there's tape, etc. Whenever you go to a pharmacy and you see one, hey, can I just have a little kit, whatever? Just get a little first aid kit. Always have one with you. You need it. There's always the basics that you need in there. Today we'll do a lovely convoy. Elias will be kind of just wandering around. So he's the one with the big white flag there. Today I'll be the Marshal, so I'll be going at the beginning. After that, who's done lots of drives? How many drives have you done? Have you done lots? 3, 4, 6, 0, 3. So I'll have you as my second lead, if you can. Then after that, normally just go to you will be number 3. Then I will have probably Nisreen, kind of some people that I have not driven, try and go towards the front of the convoy. The ones that I have a little bit more drives go towards the back of the convoy. Okay? This is the reason, because when we do convoys, when we go in the sand, when we drive on the sand and we keep the track, the sand churns up. So the people that are at the back, they get the dirty sand, as we call it. So because it's a dirty sand, it's a little bit more tricky. It's a little bit better because then you also get to understand and play a little bit more with sand. The people more towards the front, they get cleaner sand, so it's just a little bit easier to learn, etc. how it is. Between vehicle and vehicle, minimum of 2 cars at all times, when we're slow or when we're going fast. Okay? You always have to keep that distance there. When we go a little bit faster, which, as I said, you'll be getting in intermediate levels, etc., normally we try to say 2 to 3 cars. So then, of course, as the faster you go, the stopping distance is a little bit kind of, we don't want you bashing into somebody else. Okay? So always try to keep to that. So if you feel that you're losing the front one, you need to catch up. So just make sure that you're always within that distance between each vehicle. Okay? The reason why we have these flags, it's not just for show or having our beautiful country flags or whatever. It's basically just to, when you go over a crest or when you go over a sand dune, the flag is on the top. So if that person goes over the dune and and he goes into a bush and he stops, when you're going over, you see the flag. If the flag is stationary, stop. Okay? That's basically the whole point of a flag. So it's not just there for decoration. It's actually there for, this is what I'm telling you, try and get bigger flags. Rubbish, please keep all your rubbish in your vehicle. Do not throw anything. One of our biggest mottos is the only thing that we leave behind is our tracks. When we're gliding on the side of the dunes today, sometimes your bumps from the Jeeps will go to the left or to the right. It's basically called gravity. One very, very general rule in all off-road groups is that we do not fight gravity. What does that mean? If your car is pulling you down, you go down. Don't fight it and go up. So what you're doing is basically you're just making sure that the car will just go to one side and you can roll. If you're driving and your arse pulls you down, you go down. Again, there's another competition. I'm not going to give you a certificate at the end of the day. I'm not going to give you a little star or tap on the shoulder and say, hey. So this is again, we're all here to learn, and to just make sure you go down at all times. Okay? It's understanding your vehicle. It's understanding your weight. It's understanding if you've got a 2-door, if you've got a 4-door. It's understanding how you float. It's understanding your gears. Your Jeeps, you can have them beautifully, wonderfully lifted like this, humongous tires and this and that, the other. It's got nothing to do with the Jeep. It's got to do with you. It's very simple. I've seen people cross Liwa in a stock 2-door JK for sport many times. You can do that. You don't need to have lifts and stuff like that. It all depends on what you want to do and how you want to progress within your off-roading life. But again, of course, if you have a lift, it does help a little bit, future or third going on. But at the beginning, the stock JL like this is perfectly fine. And then you can do anything you ever want to do. The only thing that you need to be careful with, especially with stocks, is just your bumper, your front bumper. If you are going to go down straight, etc., before you go down, just go a little bit sideways, just to get that little bit of an angle, so you don't hit it from the bottom. For the people, we learn how to do things, etc., but just do not overtake. If we're in a certain situation, that if you stop right there where you are, you can feel that you're going to be in a very awkward position, you go down, and you park somewhere where you get a flat area. That's the only time that you should be getting out of the convoy. Apart from that, always stick to your convoy, okay? When we're driving today, if you do find yourself in a very kind of like you need to go up, etc., or we're going to go up a dune, or we're going to go up somewhere, make sure that you go down a gear, especially with the JLs, and just give it a little bit of more of a kick. That doesn't mean you have to go, just give it more. Just make sure that that's always sturdy and it's always kind of there. Momentum is your biggest ally. If you lose that momentum in a certain area, you'll get stuck. Always keep moving. Always keep going. Always make sure that that car is moving. If you feel that the car is going down, it's struggling a little bit, kick down. Secondly, punctuality. That's one thing that we always kind of, is part of respect. So as you know, we've got all of different people here from all different areas of the world, etc. We need to be punctual when we do these drives. Normally, the way we do it is that if the meeting point time is at 8 o'clock, by 8:15, we should be driving and we should be going. Okay? So you have that. So that means it gives you at least a little bit of a buffer time to deflate, put your flag up, sort your car out, tie everything down, and just make sure that everything is there. So the basics that we have, of course, thankfully all of you have flags. There's 2 types of flags that are on the market at the moment. There's the red ones, nobody really has at the moment. There's these dual ones, or there's the fiberglass ones that I can see that this one has. The fiberglass ones do the job, but we don't really recommend them because so normally they're much shorter than the other ones, and they just break very easily because they're fiberglass. Another thing that you need to have is always with you is a radio. You can buy them on, you can go to Dragonmark and buy them. Try and always buy the Baofeng ones. We don't sponsor Baofeng ones. They're just easier to use. The Motorola's and stuff, they can just be a bit too simple, a bit too basic, and they're actually quite difficult to use. You can get them on AliExpress, actually really, really cheap, and they will ship them to you, no problem at all. Now we're getting to the summer periods. I see a lot of people with footwear. You don't have to go, antisocial like me and go full military, but it is very highly recommendable when we start going out into the sand, because we are going to be doing summer drives. The sand gets really, really hot. Some of these shoes, the sole can actually come off because of the heat of the sand, and they can actually come apart from the actual shoe itself. So just be very, very careful. Also, when we get very soft sand in summer, it literally, I'm not going to say quicksand, but when you're trying to go up a dune or something, the sand will go straight up and it'll go right up to the top. That sand is hot. it will burn your legs and it will burn your feet. It will burn everything that is around it. So try and have something that is higher up. Don't wear Chucks, Converse Chucks, because they've got those two little holes in there and that sand will just go in there. It's just very uncomfortable to drive, etc. Just try and find a boost. Decathlon have a really good one. They're about 210, correct. These ones are fantastic. They do the job. They're really, really good. They're very light and they have the lip all the way to the top so they don't allow the sand to go in. So just be mindful in winter, flip-flops, no problem at all. You can walk around, etc. Summertime, just make sure you have decent enough footwear.